to be the love chapter of the Bible. Because, jot that down now, because the 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians give us the nature of love and give us a description of love. And you need to understand this. Because we don't hear these kind of sermons in church, brothers and sisters alike, you really need to sit down and look and read attentively 1 Corinthians 13. Not to throw it in someone else's face about you don't love me, but that you may examine yourself to see if you authentically love that person that you keep telling, I love you. Because if my behavior is not what is described in 1 Corinthians 13, then I don't love that individual with the love of God. Now, God is God kind of love. That's kind of love that he wants us to love everybody with. Okay? Now, I can't have the agape love and love some folk and hate other folk. If I do, then you're a liar and the truth is not in you. Amen. Because if you have the love of God in you, then you ought to love everybody without restraints and expecting what? Nothing in return. Okay? So let's go to work and let's everybody read verse 8. Oh, y'all lost. It's on the screen, people. Let's read verse 8. Come on. All right. Now, this deals with before the Shulamite woman gets married, that her brothers, her dad is dead, her brothers are now responsible. And I'm starting in the middle of the sermon so I can go back to the beginning, because I want you to see this whole picture. Her brothers are responsible for her. Now, when you talk about breasts, that's an imagery of not just physical breasts, but it shows youth and that she's in her age of immaturity. They said from the day our dad died, she's our responsibility to make sure that our little sister be a woman of moral and a woman of virginity till she get married. Here's the problem. In the family structure, very seldom among African Americans do we have fathers. Because in most of our African American homes, the father is in absentia. He's absent. Now come on, talk back to me. And what's worse than that is that there is no male figure at all. You know, back in the day, older brothers would protect their sisters. Now today, brothers are hooking their sisters up with their friends and fellas that they know ain't no good. And they cover up for each other. It doesn't matter to most brothers now if their sister's a virgin or not, if she has morals or not. Because we live in a culture now, to be a virgin is almost embarrassing. Because everybody now want to get their freak on. You do you, I do me. Now y'all act like I'm the only one that live in that kind of world. Now you know most people don't care nothing about virginity. Talking with a preacher friend of mine some time ago, he talking about, man, next woman out there gonna be a virgin. Brother, she gonna be underage. And you going to jail. Now you know and I know that very seldom will you find anybody today that don't have at least one child. And that goes male and female. Now come on. Because it doesn't mean anything to folk now to have babies out of wedlock. Going out of town on weekend, going on vacation with you. You know years ago you wouldn't go on no vacation with nobody you wasn't married. On vacation with a boy that you're not married to, your mom and daddy wouldn't have that. Going out of town for a weekend with somebody you're not married to, your mom and daddy wouldn't have that. And so they said, we've got to make sure that we want to protect our sister. That she is a woman of morals and a woman of virginity on which you meet her husband. And see, one of the dangers, footnote, one of the dangers of you sleeping with folk, you dating, before you get married, is that when you get married, you're sleeping with all them folk you done slept with previously. And you're also sleeping with all the folk that they done. Even the mic like sex. Oh, something different happened. Am I the one hearing that? Something did happen. Okay, all right. I didn't think I was in no zone by myself. All right. And so it calls you to compare. And you with the one you married to. See, because we live in a culture. If you can't love the one you want, love the one you're with. That causes people to live immoral lives. And it calls you to become hypocrite. You in bed with a woman that you're supposed to be making love to, or a man that you're making love to. And your mind is on somebody else. That's not agape love. That's just a fulfilling of your lustful, fleshly desire. But if you was a virgin, he the best you ever had, because you didn't have nothing else to compare with. But when you don't step around with different men or step around with different women, if you're not careful psychologically, you'll be trying, if I can get a little bit of him and a little bit of him and a little bit of him, and more, I have the perfect man. Or if I can take a little bit of her, a little bit of her, take this and her, but I have the perfect woman. But life is not that easy. And so now Solomon and the Shulamite woman is married, and listen, they're going strong. Now let me help you out, because I always get this, especially from you church folk. See, folk who just get in church, they don't have a lot of questions that you church folk have. Well, how Solomon gonna love her so much, and she loves Solomon so much, and he ain't over 700 wives and 350 concubines? Well, have you ever thought what the Bible is talking about him loving the other 699 wives? Because the culture of that day, it wasn't a matter about marrying who you love. You could marry as many as you want as long as you were able to suffice all of them. That was the culture. But remember now, from day one, God intended every man to have. See, there's something God allowed. And that was allowed, but it never was commanded. Oh, come on, man. So come back to verse 5, and let's look at these 7 perspectives to keep not only the flame burning, but to keep love. That's what it said. Keep hope alive, keep love alive. All right? Read verse 5, everybody, come on. Keep in mind now, and I don't have time to get into all of the setting, but picture in your mind that they're coming back from the desert, riding on a chariot. Picture that in your mind. They're returning back to the palace. And this is our observation. Who is this coming up from the wilderness of the desert, leaning upon her beloved? Where do you think we get this idea? And because you don't see it anymore, but back in the day, in the 80s, man low ride, and his wife or his woman is about to push him out the driving door. She all up under it. When the last time you seen that? We're so divided, we even have a console between us now. But back in the day, vehicles didn't have consoles. Had bench seat. You just slide all up under your boot. And that done several things. Number one, it made him feel good. So when he driving through town, he made her feel good. When they driving down the street and the other women look at it. It brought stability. I made this statement to a couple yesterday. Since you all are married, don't stop dating. And I need to say that to every one of you in here today. Don't stop dating just because you're married. Don't stop dating just because you got children. Footnote, husbands, keep in mind, there's 168 hours in a week. You need to get yourself somewhere and sit down and work this into your goal and then make it happen. Time for myself. Just for me. Second of all, time for me and my wife. Not the children, just me and my wife. They ain't talking about I'm sitting down watching television while you cook. I'm talking about some quality time. Brother, time for just you and your child. Now, I know you may have multiple children, but you got to work it in where you're not always with all the children. Sometimes you need to be with them individually. You got to work it in. Because you need to have that quiet time with you and your son, your oldest son, the youngest son. Then that sometimes you just need with just you and the dog. And then that other time when you can bring all the children. Why do you need that? Because it's lacking in the black families now. Because we don't spend quality time together. You drop them off at school, that 15 minutes ain't quality time. I'm talking about where you're able to have those heart-to-hearts. Where you're able to become intimate with your children. See, you got to change your mindset that intimacy ain't just sex. I know it's bad English. And every time we hear intimacy, we think sex. You got to start thinking intimacy without thinking sex. Because you can have sex and never become intimate. Come on now. Intimate means when we get what? In each other's heart. We get to know each other internally, intimately. Your children need that. You need that from your children. Your wife needs that. You need that from your wife. And then there are times when we just need to be alone. Women, let me help you out. Quit complaining that your husband have a hobby. If he don't get a hobby, he's going to develop a habit. And most habits are not godly.
Amen. Amen. Right.
You see that all in the Song of Solomon. Okay, we learned last week. When the Shunammite woman couldn't find Solomon, where was he? In the garden. Your husband ought to have a toy, that an old car, something that he liked. It may be working in the yard. It may be, working, in the flower bed. Don't complain about that. That's better than him in the happy hour. That's better than him at the casino. Come on now. Because some of you women, watch me now, and you can't help yourself. It's a part of the curse from Genesis 3. Brothers, and y'all can't understand women, let me help y'all out. Anything that appears to a woman to have your undivided attention, she look at it as competition. I knew the women were going to say that. That's why she raised hell when it appeared that you're spending too much time with it and not her. For instance, if your wife is not into sports, she raised hell that you want to always look at the game. And then she gets the nerve. That's the time she want to talk, walk right from the television. We need to talk. Come on, get slapped the hell out. See, and I know, oh, I don't believe he said that. I'm just keeping it real. You don't do stuff like that. She feels that she's in competition with you and the television, the ball game. But would you rather him at the house watching the ball game or him at the bar with the boys watching the ball game? Or better yet, him at home watching the game all alone? If that's what he needs, why you got to talk right there? Quit being selfish. You look at it as competition. If he got an old car, you look at it as competition. Because you're looking at the money he spent and the time he spent with it, because you're not getting any time. That's why, brother, you got to nip that in the bud. Have some time every week just for her. It don't mean you have to take her out. It doesn't mean you got to take her to the movie. It doesn't mean you got to take her to dinner. It doesn't mean she got to get dressed up. It might be just a walk through the park. And as hot as it is, it only have to be a walk. Just find you a tree and a blanket. I find you a pavilion with a ceiling fan. Because if you get too hot, it's going to be a short visit. But some of them be so happy that you just took them to the park. They're enjoy you hot and hungry. Now, wives, don't create a fight. Next weekend is Father's Day. Be kind when you get home. You heard what Rab said? He said, you need to take me to the park. He said, you need to do all. See, y'all know how to throw stuff up in folks' face. But you need to work on that. This brings stability in the relationship, because it makes your wife feel special. And she's supposed to, okay, let me put some Bible there, because y'all looking at me like I'm crazy. Hebrews 10, 24, 25, and forsake not the assembling of yourselves together as the manner of some is. Guess what the Lord said? Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Then you get to the New Testament after the resurrection of Jesus, the church start meeting on what day of the week? The first day of the week, right? Guess what the Lord said? Okay, I gave you 6 days to do your thing, but on Sunday, I want to see you.
Right.
See, you can't be no better with the Lord, with your spouse, than you are with the Lord. You got time, you got problem giving God time on Sunday. You're going to have a problem giving your wife some time during the week. Until you get ready for sex. And then she said, you done treated me like a spare tire all week long, and now all of a sudden you done lost your mind. Because she don't feel that you deserve her. Come on now. I know you can say, and I probably would if I had a wife sitting in church. You got to get to the point, people, that you understand this thing about relationship. That's why you got to start loving without expecting anything in return. Because if you don't get that concept, all this other stuff is going to be predicated. Because folk have already told you marriage is 50-50. So much so that y'all have already decided what bills you're going to pay and what bills she's going to pay.
All right, right.
You want everything 50-50. You can't have that mindset. Brother, if we're going to have a healthy relationship, we're in this thing together. We got to cut out the I, the me, the my, and the yours. That's your car. This is my car. Don't touch my car. I bought you a car. You're behind sick. Her car broke. I don't think you would tell her, don't drive my car. If it's a life situation, I think you got to come on here. You got to get me some help. Quit being selfish. Love is not selfish, it's selfless. You got to bring some stability, okay? Those of you in the back, I need you to work with me. I need you to pull up 1 Corinthians 13 and 8. All right? Keep your Bible at Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 5. Okay? I want to show you something in 1 Corinthians. Is anybody back there in the media? Man, is anybody back there with you? I'm talking, he just sitting there. Just right there, 1 Corinthians 13. Because you know what 1 Corinthians 13 it says? Love never fails. Love never fails. Why? Because you got to do those things. To do two things. Here it is. Love is to be given, and love is to be received.
Right. Yeah.
It was designed to be given, and it was designed to be received.
Right.
Now you don't give it to receive, but love was designed to be given, and love was designed to be what? Received.
Right.
Now when it says love never fails, it means love never collapses. Love never loses its value.
All right. Say that.
Love never falls down.
All right. Say that.
That's why last week I preached about how to keep the fire burning, how to keep the flames burning.
Right.
Because marriage, brothers and sisters, is work.
Right.
24/7, 365, 366 leap year, with no sick days, with no time off, and with no vacation.
Right.
And the reason why a lot of y'all got out because you said, and no pay. Because some of you felt I was better off by myself than I am with him. Brother, that's why I preached weeks ago that you better at least bring her up to the standard that her dad set.
Right.
Because if you can't add to her life, it's going to be a challenge for her to stay with you. Because she's sitting there saying, I was better off by myself. He don't add nothing to my life. And a lot of cases, brothers, you don't. That's why don't get married too prematurely. Get yourself together. So that you can take that woman's life to another level. I don't care if she have more education than you. I don't care if her job pay more than you. You got to take her to another level in other areas. And I ain't talking about kicking it in the sheets either. And that's part of it. You can be all that in the bed, but doggone it, that's under the tree, because you ain't got nowhere to take her. Call home, y'all got a problem.
All right. Right.
In every area of her life, you got to add and take her to another level. Because if you're not going to add to her life, then she got a fight on her hand to stay with you. Why? Because just like I showed you earlier, the brothers was in her life because the dad was deceased, preparing her for this thing called marriage, that she would be not only marriage material, but she'd be marriage material by having good morals, as well as being physically and psychologically mature. All right? I know it looks like I'm rambling, but I'm not. I'm just trying to paint a picture for you. And maybe the reason why y'all ain't saying nothing is because maybe I'm the only one saying it. And so it's my responsibility to get you to see it. So that's why I'm taking my time with it. So you got to have some stability. And a lot of you don't have any stability. That's why jealousy and envy and covet is working on your marriage. You call it little foxes. Right. People can be jealous without being jealous of other folk. Brother, she can be jealous of the time you spend with your hobby. Sister, he can be jealous of the time that you spend with other things. It don't work just women with men with women as well. But you got to do those things to make him smile. The late Dr. E.K. Bailey had 4 different battles with 4 different types of cancer. His last battle of cancer was a type of cancer that ate away his nasal passage. He was in Texas, Indiana, laying in his bed. His wife said that he was so weak that he couldn't even feed himself. He was in so much pain that she just didn't know what to do. And they're at the hotel in a suite. She said she walked out of the bedroom where he was and went into the living room and knelt down and prayed and said, God, what can I do to help? And God spoke to her, and she said that she got her bag and went in the bathroom and put on the negligee that he loved her to wear, knowing that he couldn't do anything because of his physical sickness. Said that she put it on and walked out and got in the bed and got right up under his arms. And said he laughed and said, girl, you something else. She said, for that smile, just for that moment, made it worth it. Because of what it done for him and seeing his smile and what it done for her. He was too weak to even throw his arms around her. But he said, girl, you know you something else. It's little things that you can do in the marriage that says to him or to her, baby, I love you. You need stability. Brother, I guarantee you, if you listen to me today, you'll see a change. You ought to love on that woman so much until she be telling the car don't need washing, the car don't need maintenance. She ought to do. You need to go somewhere. Ain't no game on tonight. When you and the boys gonna have a night out. Because you ought to be loving on her so much. Because this is the thing. When she don't get it, she won't. And then when she get too much, then she complain because it's like, I can't do nothing else because you're always, okay, y'all got it. So you can't say that because you ain't experienced that yet. Brother, get to the point where you just love her to death. Okay? You don't make the connection. We can do it even when we sing and when we preach. Every time I turn around, he keeps on making a way. He keeps doing great things for me. Well, if the Lord keep doing all that for me, what you doing for her? Husband, love your wife like Christ loved her. But keep doing things for her because the Lord keep doing things for you. Not just when you want something. Number 2. The security of love. Look at verse 6. The security of love. Look at him say. Song of Solomon chapter 8 verse 6. Y'all got it? Come on, let's read it. Underline or write down the word seal. Write it down. Let's start over. Come on. Pay attention to heart and arm. Keep reading. Stop right there. Stop right there. Because the third point is going to come from that same text. The A clause deals with the security of love. Everybody in a relationship, including men, wants security. Wants security. The seal suggests ownership. Not ownership as it relates to control. But notice what we said last week from chapter number 5 and chapter number 6. Y'all remember the sermon last week? Where the Shulamite woman said to the women that was helping her find Solomon, he's mine. Then she get to chapter 6 and said, and I'm his. See, a brother ought to want to know that whether he's with his wife or not. A sister want to know that whether she's with you or not in the physical. He's mine and I'm his. She's mine and I'm hers. They need to say that with confidence without wondering, am I with her? See, I ain't crazy. I watched this synagogue. But the synagogue was up here. That wasn't no bad looking sister. Had nice legs. Nice side, nice build, nice smile. I checked out. And it wasn't just a little casual, you know. Well, something on the double take. I watched the synagogue. If she ever stops smiling, but synagogue gonna have hell on his hand. A woman like that. And I want to thank Angela for sharing him with us, and especially me. Man, you know that wouldn't work with some of you sister girls over here today. She just smiled. I said to myself, that's when you're secure. Yeah, baby, he working with you, so he bringing the money home to me. Oh yeah, he hugging you, but he bringing everything else home to me. It's just temporary. This been 30 plus years, and it's gonna be till we die. You can't do in 20 seconds what I've been doing for over 30 years. But I've not only been just hugging him, I've been floating his boat. So you got to have that security. And when you have that security, it doesn't matter who speaks to your husband on Sunday. It doesn't matter who speaks to your wife on Sunday. I belong to him. He belongs to me. I'm secure in the relationship. Some of you Negroes are so doggone jealous you get mad with your wife if somebody look at her. But doggone it, you stupid. How you gonna live in a big world and nobody look at your wife? Told a preacher friend of mine that just last week at the association. I said, homeboy, when y'all go down the aisle, throw your arms around the waist. I said, when you get to the main door, put your hand on one of her hips and squeeze it. I said, I want you to watch two things. Watch her response and watch the other men respond. When he did, other preacher, man, I don't believe he done that. Man, in a public place. Guess what his wife did? Threw her arms around him and said, boy, I can't wait till we get home. So the next day when I saw him, I said, boy, what happened when y'all got home? He said, well, I couldn't hardly make it today. He done it with taste. It was appropriate and it was in order because he did not go to the extreme with it. There's a certain way you do certain things. Because it's not always what you do, something is how we do it. Because he could have done it in a way that it could have been what? Disrespectful to his wife and distasteful to others. Brother, when you love your wife, you can bring the freak out of her, but do it in a nice way. Don't make her feel like a freak, and don't make her feel like a woman of the night, and don't make her feel like a woman of horror. And y'all ain't saying nothing, but I'm trying to help you. Look what happened. Write down the word heart and write down the word honor. The heart there means affection. See, y'all think I'm just talking, but I got this from the Bible. Set me a seal upon thine heart. I want you to show me some affection in a way as if you own my heart. Brother, when your wife know you love her and know you are affectionate towards her, ain't nothing too good for you. She'll do more to keep your house clean and your children clean and food cooked. She'll go to the extreme because she's going to speak to make you feel like you're the king in your palace. That's what draws security. Especially you that have women working, other men hitting on them, flirting with them. But that don't mean nothing when you got a heart. You need to understand. It doesn't mean anything. Bruh, you're wasting your time. Bruh, get out of my face. Bruh, I don't have time for that. Bruh, you done lost your mind. Why? Because I'm his. And he's mine. You got to have that kind of relationship, and it doesn't come overnight. It comes along with both of you becoming more intimate with God and more intimate with each other to the point where you got a heart.
Amen. Amen.
And you demonstrate it in the area of emotions.
Right.
Not only that, but then look at the other part, the arm, that represents strength. She feels protected. Ooh, preach, Pastor. See, I'm preaching to y'all today without a hope. That woman want to know I'm protected. He protects me. He protects his family. Bro, you can't be weak to the point that you can't protect your wife. We even sang the song, safe and secure from all alone. Oh, I'm leaning on Jesus Christ, my Savior. See, y'all don't even pay attention to the lyrics you say. In the relationship, that's what a fellowship. In the relationship, the psalmist says, it's just like the Shulamite woman in Solomon. I'm secure, leaning on his everlasting arm. What have I to dread? What have I to fear? I'm leaning. Don't worry about it. Y'all almost make me feel like Joel Osteen when he go out of town. Y'all almost make me feel like selling y'all a ticket just to get up in here. Because maybe if you bought a ticket, y'all act like you're glad to be here. I'm trying to help y'all here. Y'all never heard that song. It's because we don't make the connections in church. Because that's old school, and people of the day want contemporary stuff that don't connect with nothing. I bet the next time you hear that song, what a fellowship, I bet this sermon come to mind. Oh, I'm leaning on Jesus. Because the Shulamite woman said, when I'm in his arms, he protects me. And deep down in my heart, I know he loves me. Right. That's security in the relationship. Let me give you this story. I told y'all I wasn't going to finish the sermon. Right. Some of y'all said I knew you wouldn't when you said 7 things. Okay, let's look at the same 6th verse, but let's look at part B. But I want you to read the entire 6th verse. Come on. attention to that. For love is strong as death. Keep reading. Ooh, jealousy tear up your relationship. Keep reading. Oh, Lord. Oh, Jesus. Now let's talk about the strength of love. The strength of love. 3 things, and I'm going to quit for today. I'll be back with it next Sunday. The Lord is good. Next Sunday is Father's Day. Oh, great sermon. Great sermon. So I ain't got to work on nothing special. Great sermon. Let's deal with the strength of love. Now, for point number 2, I also need you to write down 1 Corinthians 13:3. Now, for point number 3, I also need you to write down 1 Corinthians 13:13. Because remember I told you, 1 Corinthians 13 is what? Love chapter. It gives you the nature and the descriptions of love. All right? This is not this big to make it out. Okay. Look at the 3 imageries in chapter 6, chapter 8, verse 6. Let's look at it real quick. 8. Here it is. For love is strong as what? That means that it's irreversible. It's irreversible.
All right. Get up.
Your love in the marriage ought to be irreversible. I ask this question sometime when I'm preaching on love in revivals. And I think I've asked it before here at Good Hope. I want to ask it again today. Please, don't answer. Because if you can answer this, you're in trouble. So please don't answer. What can your spouse do to stop you from loving them? If they can do anything to stop you from loving them, it may be because you never loved them. Because everybody says, I love you. It's not the God kind of love. Second question. What can they do that you're not willing to forgive? Because if you don't love them the way Christ loved the church, then you won't have a problem forgiving them for any wrong they do. And third, what's too much to give them? If it's too much to give them, then you never love them. Because guess what? Loving, forgiving, and giving is the 3 things that causes you to live within your potential.
All right.
And most relationships are living beneath their potential because you're not giving all you ought to be given, and you're not forgiving all that you ought to be forgiven because you're not loving them. And it ought to be irreversible.
All right. Get up.
Because if I'm loving you without restraint and expecting nothing in return, you can't ever succumb to this statement. He or she don't deserve it. I would do more, but man, she won't listen to nothing I say. Okay, are you perfect? Well, you don't listen to everything God says. Come on now. Because if we're supposed to love our wife like Christ loved the church, and you're the church, are you perfect? No, you still have flaws. But does the Lord keep loving you? Does the Lord keep forgiving you? Does the Lord keep giving to you? Well, why you got a problem practicing it, fool? You're going to end up divorced, devastated, ultimately destroyed.
Right.
And distraught because of your own selfishness. Subpoint number 2 in the same verse. For love is strong as what? What's that other word? Oh yeah. Jealousy is as, stop right there. That means a righteous jealousy. a righteous jealousy. The Lord thy God is jealous. For the Lord thy God, I am a jealous God. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Brother, that's why I told you about the 168 hours. You better find some time for boo. Because if you don't make some time for boo, boo will no longer be boo. It's going to be boo God. Because you're going to make her act a fool with you and in the relationship. You got to, listen, she needs to know that there is God first, me second. Homegirl, he needs to know it's God first and him second. Not the children. I know your mama told you, baby, men come dime a dozen. But them children gonna be yours. You better listen to your mama, start listening to the Lord. You better understand, it's God, then my husband, then my children, then me. Brothers, you better learn, it's God, my wife, the children, then me. You know why? Because the children ultimately should get grown and gone. But you are in it to death us do part. That's why it takes 3 people to make your marriage work. You, your spouse, and God. Thou shalt have no other God before me. And you better say to your wife or to your husband, and me only. Because I don't want you loving nobody, and I don't want you putting nobody ahead of me but God. Now, here's the problem. When something else or someone else become competition, you got a problem on your hands. See, folk don't just cheat. And if you just cheat and there's no problem for you cheating, it's because you've never been converted. Because if you've been converted and you cheat, the Holy Ghost will make sure to bring about conviction. What's leading one to cheat? Maybe it's because, yes, I've been treating God. Thinking that he's religious when he has no relationship. See, just because a man used the name Jesus doesn't mean he knows the man Jesus. In Matthew 7, depart from me, I never knew you. You've been calling my name, but we ain't on that level. I don't even know you. Who are you? We don't have no relationship. You got a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. That's why you don't run up in here talking about you looking for a husband and looking for a wife. The church is the worst place in the world to go looking for a spouse. Because you know why? Because ain't nobody real up in here. Because everybody trying to be all that in front of church folk. You need to watch that rascal after benediction, or watch that girl after benediction and before called to worship. Because everybody want to put on a good foot up in the Lord's house. Some of them do it out of fear. Girl, the Lord strike me dead. Because you up in the Lord's house. Come on now. Others because you're trying to impress other folks to believe you got it together. And another reason, because people have a misconception of the church. Some of y'all think it's a social event and a social event alone where you come in trying to market your business. Trying to get a hookup and all that kind of stuff. Folk come to church for all kind of reasons. But if you came for worship, I got flaws, you got flaws. All of God's children got flaws. That's why we all need the word, because the church is like a hospital. Those who ain't sick need to come for a checkup. You know why? Because there have been something wrong, but there's a possibility that something could be wrong, because I could have sickness and don't even have symptoms. That's why don't bother me for being real, because I know the issues I have, and I'm looking at a whole lot of folk with issues, because ain't nobody up in here perfect. And if you stood and said you would, you're going to lie, the truth ain't in you. The last one is right here in the text. The coals thereof are coals of fire, which have the most vivid flame. The intensity of the flame. The intensity of the flame. You know what that means? Out of control. Out of control. Out of control. My love for my wife, my love for my husband ought to be so strong that it's out of control. I really can't help myself. Pastor Billberry's made this statement. I don't know if many of you remember the last time he preached for us. He made this illustration. Pastor Billberry said that every year he go to the National Board in January, he go to the National Congress in June, go to the National Convention in September, and go to the Christian education activity at the latter part of November, 1st of December. Among all the other stuff. He said, every time I go, I bring my wife back a gift. And it's not because she looked for it. It's not because she expected it. And it's not because she needed it. He said, because I can't help myself, because I just keep doing for her to let her know that my love continues to grow for her.
All right, shut up. All right, shut up.
Brother, some things ought to be so natural that it's not even a distraction or disturbance. You ought to see the suit. You don't care what it costs. I bet you look good wearing that. What's too good for? Man, I love to see my wife. Because, brother, sometimes you need to go out and buy what you want her to wear. And sister, I don't care if you like it or not. If you love him and he wants you to wear it, put it on. Because if he loves it that well, it won't be on long. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. I'm here to tell you who you need to sock it to. Your spouse. And guess what, honey? You may hate it, but if you see the glow in his eye, it'll turn you on. You know why? Because you be like, you really like this? I don't think it fit good. But you say you really like it. See, I didn't know how it looked right side. And I know, you still thinking, she's not blushing and smiling, even though in her head she's saying, I don't like this, and this don't look good on me. But she see his smile and the glow in his eye, and she just hunger. When you get to this position, you want to say it right now? I just shut to you. Huh? What's that, Dick? Dick said, back it up. Come on now. Children upstairs, and if your child ain't upstairs, they should be. So it ain't my problem up in here. You got to learn, brothers and sisters, whatever it takes to demonstrate that love from a biblical perspective. It enhances the relationship. Marriage should never become boring and dull. You ought to move from glory to glory. Even after 40 years, you ought to still turn Oprah's stones on. Woke up doing raise your head that time. Then you look over at Sister Dot now. Oh, I can imagine what's going on for a time with this evening. Come on in here. Bring a little cold drink of water. I'm closing. Preacher got up one Sunday. He said, today, the minister of music and the worship leader, they're out of town, and we have guests. And what we're going to do today, we're going to have some fun. I'm going to give you a word, and I want you to sing a song. And whoever wants to sing, whoever wants to lead, or you can do it as a congregation, no problem. He said, grace. So everybody starts singing, Amazing Grace. Okay. He said, oh. Faith, we have come this far by faith. He said, sex. And everybody got quiet and be like, Pastor done lost his mind. Sex. I don't believe he said that in the pulpit. About 10 minutes later, he said, sex. An old lady got up on her walker and said, precious memory. Brother, don't let your wife ever have to look at things as a memory. Have her look at it as a reality. It's still going on. I quit for today. Everybody on me. Oh God, everybody on me. Y'all are really sorry that we're out this late, but our announcements was extremely long today, but we had to do what we had to do. So bear with us just a couple more minutes, okay? Do you have a relationship with Jesus? This is a question for everybody in here today. That's where it starts. That's where life really begins. With the relationship with Jesus. Not believing in God, but accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. That's where it starts. You can go to church, you can read the Bible, you can even pray, but brother, sister, until you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, you're still lost and in your sin. But the Lord wants to have a relationship with you so much so that he sent his son to pay the price for your redemption. And he paid for it on a hill called Calvary with giving his life and shedding his blood. They buried him, and on the third day God raised him up from the dead. And if you will come today and confess that with your mouth and believe it in your heart, that moment the Lord Jesus will come into your life. And when he comes into your life, he'll give you the ability and the strength to love the way God loves you. So that's where it begins today. So the brothers are going to stand with me. If you're here and you never ever entered into that kind of relationship with the Lord, today is a good day. And at this time, you will hear people say, the door of the church is open, and you will hear folk make that kind of statement. Listen, it's when we give you an invitation where you can come to Jesus. Second of all, if you're here today and you're not sure, you're not certain, because maybe you've heard different things and maybe you've been taught different things, and maybe the devil has been whispering in your ear and you've been practicing some things that you know that Christians ought not do. And maybe you're saying, I'm not saved anymore. I backslid. I walked away from God. I'm not saved anymore. I'm not sure if I'm saved at all. If that's you today and you're confused, you're not concrete, you're not sure, you're not certain of your salvation, if that's you, I want to extend an invitation to you. Calm down. Listen, don't be embarrassed. There was a time in my life I doubted my salvation until I got to know the Word of God for myself. I don't care what anybody says about Ricky Carter. I can tell you any time of day or night in front of anybody without contradiction. One thing I know, I'm a born-again believer. You can say the same thing today if you would let us minister to you. If that's you, come on down. Don't worry about being the first one. You might be the only one. Come on, if that's you today. The third invitation that I want to extend to you today, if you would like to become a part of the Good Hope family. We don't have the best preacher in the world. We don't have the best choir in the world. We don't have the best church in the world. But we are some people that love God. We believe His word, and we do our best to teach it and preach it, and we even do our best to try to live it. And if you're here today and you want to learn the word of God, Good Hope is the place to be. If you want somebody to rightly divide the word of truth, Good Hope is the place to be. Can I learn to love God? Good Hope is the place to be. Can I grow in the word? Good Hope is the place to be. And if God is speaking to your hearts today, saying Good Hope is where I want you to be at this season in your life, come on down. While the brothers sing for us, while we get a solo, while they sing, I'm waiting on you for any of those reasons. Come on. The opportunity is being accepted. God bless you. I see you.
Hard to climb. I started out a long time ago.
Will there be another one today?
There is no doubt.
Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Come on. Will there be another one today?
Jesus, my joy.
Keep playing. Listen. If you are active in a local church and you know without a doubt that you're born again, take a seat. You know you're born again and you're active in a local church. Thank you for your honesty. I want to ask you today that if you're not in a relationship with Jesus Christ, and if you're not active in a church, you stood. It takes courage. Will you just come and let me pray for you?